This is Trials of Oma, the Book of Suffering, by Enea Arllai. Narrated by Son of Sonnet. Introduction. Quote, "Fire tests gold, suffering tests brave men." End quote. Lucius Annaeus Seneca the Younger. Quote, "Let us understand that God is a physician, and that suffering is a medicine for salvation, not a punishment for damnation." End quote. St. Augustine. Legacy Notes. The listener has the option to bypass this section and revisit it as a guide if the desire for greater clarity arises. For those who prefer a preview of what lies ahead, continue listening. For those who relish surprises and delight in a sense of wonder, dive straight into Chapter 1. The World of Oma. 40% land, 60% surface water. 4 moons hover above Oma: Ara, Sedril, Vespok, and Kuso. 36-hour days, 7-day weeks. They are unnamed and referred to by stating the chronological and numerical place, e.g., it is the 3rd of the week. Geography includes mountain ranges, oceans, forests, jungles, arid deserts, grasslands and prairies, wetlands, Arctic tundras, oases, and scorched zones. Omani are the predominant intelligent species by number. Tamas are a newer subspecies, having emerged into a rapidly growing civilization. The origin of the latter begins roughly 800 years before the events in this book. This robust land, suspended beneath a luminous heaven, is blossoming, though it is not without its woes. On Oma, religion has all but been lost, as ancient texts have been scrambled, buried, and forgotten. Those pieces that remain have been transformed into the likes of myths in the imaginations of descendants who know little of the times in which their events transpired and were written. With the old religion now faded and blurred, rituals of respect are paid to nature, and more specifically to the mother tree. Souls are not disputed. They are as real as the bodies that are coupled with them. Reclusive, small sects praising various deities have emerged throughout the millennia, but they are too small to be of any promise or threat. A haughty ruse of compassion thrives in the respective communities of the Omani. This is not to indicate a hateful civilization, but rather one which thinks highly of its own ethics. The Tamas societal structure makes no claims of such an attribute. They value strength as the pinnacle of the virtues. Large-scale wars between the two have long been extinguished. Alas, tensions are still divisive and segregative. Violence between the races is still commonplace. Crossing into an opposing faction's territory without explicit permission will result in having the trespasser hunted and detained, dead or alive. One region is null and void of judgment against evil and misdoings, unbiased of genetics so long as the action in question was committed by a powerful warrior in the name of glory, or, further excusable, by an entrepreneurial individual for a profitable outcome. This province is called Bota Keish, a neutral grounds. This is especially so in Uiti Haidurve, a thieves' port within this notorious region, located along the Sahan River at the westmost border of this indiscriminate territory which empties into the Sea of Uman. Here is the safe house of thieves, the headquarters of malice, the sanctuary of and for the wicked, the edge of the world, as termed by its long-forgotten founders. The black market booms here. Its hordes are ruled by a collective of Tamas merchants who do not discriminate against the wrongdoings of neither Omani nor Tamas rogues, so long as there is profit to be gained and spoils to be had. The Tamas are a biological branch stemming from the Omani, although to most of Oma's inhabitants this is mere speculation or legend. The cultures, ideologies, and philosophies of Omani and Tamas are incongruous. The Omani are spiritual beings who undergo various states of enlightenment by means of meditation, energy, harnessing, and psychedelic ingestion. Their goals are ascension, reincarnation, and to become a part of the mother well which rests inside the mother tree, the core of Oma, where an infinitely deep well nurtures the world and its inhabitants. To achieve said ascension and subsequently rebirth, the individual must come of age and be ripe for the mother well to properly digest the soul and body. This occurs at roughly 35 years of age with vigorous meditation, essentially reached this early by few hermetic types, but more than often transpires at around 50 to 70 years of age, closer to natural death. Together, body and soul are recycled and released back into the world as a new being capable of exploiting a life force which can be manipulated by experienced users, wolves, into elemental, physical, and mental phenomena. There is a special physical byproduct of brought about during consumption or self-impregnation, which is a nutrient-dense substance. Stored, then secreted upon the offspring once planted near the base of the mother tree, which lays in the form of a seed, sometimes referred to as an egg. This egg soon becomes an infant Omani, whom is expelled from a mature Oman tree, which springs forth from the fertile soil surrounding the much larger mother tree. Omani who are slain or die of an illness before making pilgrimage to reproduce still have a modest chance of having their souls captured and reborn through the mother tree's vast network of interconnected vegetation, which spans the whole of Oma. Omani are essentially asexual plant-like beings, if they choose to remain so. However, they are fully expected by societal convention to marry and consummate, unless they aspire to live spiritual shamanic lives. Omani are either male or female, but due to their near-vegetative compositions, self-propagation or auto-copulation is possible and exhibited. These are called one-borns, as in having been born from a single entity, or soul-progs, as in being a soul propagator. Soul-progs are strictly female in nature, and have simply received their flowering by the pollen of the mother tree. There is but one case where it is otherwise, and this was a miraculous means by divine intervention to repopulate the world many ages before the events in this book. One-borns and soul-progs are the exception and not the rule. Commonplace sees a transfer of their emission by sexual intercourse which yields an offspring sharing traits of two partnered parents, male with female. After the sowing by the masculine within the feminine, the mother-to-be delivers their amalgamated seed into the soil near the mother well, which will provide the nutrients and a novel soul necessary for the kernel to sprout. Many Omani, both dual-parented and soul-progs, undergo this pilgrimage to plant their future offspring. Approximately 100,000 documented Omani exist today. However, the true figures are higher due to the unrecorded fringes of their society. A male Omani is referred to as an Omanu. A female Omani is referred to as an Omana. The Tamas despise the rituals and traditions of the Omani. They envy their short lifespans because Tamas blood can pump for well over a century unless halted by unnatural causes, or eventually they become too old to function. In time, their limbs and motor abilities give way, but their heart and brain will continue for much longer. They assign the label of Samat to those who reach this state. Suicide before this is heavily frowned upon and exceedingly rare. It is expected of a Tamas that they live their lives until they are parted from them in battle or to the point of Samat in order to leave this life properly through Takana Bak. This term refers to an execution ritual performed when a Tamas reaches Samat. It is more than likely that a Tamas dies in battle, by way of war, duel, or raid, than it is that they survive until their execution ceremony. This is how, despite the longevity of their natural lifespan, the population is restrained from exploding in numbers. The origin of their species is a controversial mystery. Supposedly, this is even the case with their eldest and wisest members. though suspicions are held in their knowing more and their feigning ignorance. A legend points to the first mutant Omani, Uni, being shamed and banished by her so-proclaimed compassionate and accepting society for the involuntary crime of bearing a horn at birth, and for her unyielding nature against aging. During her years in isolation, her blood boiled with flames licking for and yearning vengeance. She resorted to kidnapping Omani children and saplings, and then raising them to hate the homes they were torn from. Hundreds were inculcated in their early years and made to reproduce with their new queen when they came of age. Uni mated with the fresh generations that came, at first planting seeds away from the mother tree, eventually accumulating to a population steadily rising to 40,000 tamas today. However, alike in respect to the Omani, this number does not account for any undocumented tribal populace. This legend is understood to be the best theory of their upbringing, yet also a debated truth amongst the most recent generation of tamas. The story has yet to grip any traction with the Omani. Believing and admitting elders of the tamas believe this is the case because the higher council of the Omani are ashamed of the stories surrounding their ancestors' actions against and banishment of Uni. Stone and gem monuments of a cloaked Uni stand erect in all of the major tamas cities. It was stated that she never revealed her ancestry when questioned or even so much as commented on the accusations of her origin. Queen Uni is said to be a secretive monarch whose commands echo from the shadows. Only through the generations of speculation was the theory formed that the current Queen Uni is indeed the first tamas, the indigenous root, the same Uni of legend. The tamas citizenry is less than half of that of the Omani. Nearly their entire race is bred from birth to be warriors first, laborers second. The tamas do not call on to fuel their battles. Each tamas is genetically and uniquely equipped with a mutation, generally intended to kill or to hunt. Around 700 years ago, just after the first century of their becoming, all tamas began sharing a common genetic mutation: the need to reproduce sexually and go through mammalian birth as opposed to possessing the alternative means and rituals of their originators. This perhaps was due to a lack of both control and application throughout the first century of their being. A male tamas is referred to as a tamasu. A female is referred to as a tamasa. Metrics: kalama, kilometers; ama, meters; kumla, kilograms. Currencies: Omani and tamas do not share a common currency. However, in Witi Haidurve, transactions with both currencies can be made as the consistencies of both are predominantly composed of the same precious metal, gold with a thin silver rim, with the locks being slightly purer than toros. Captured coins from the opposing species generally end up being re-smelted and reforged into their own respective currency. This allows for capture of escaping capital, and this one reason as to why when one economy does well, the other does not. Gold is increasingly rare and hence not abundant enough to facilitate the full composition of the currencies. In place, approximately 1/20th of the coin's mixture is silver, with debasement occurring more frequently as scarcity of gold increases. Omani currency, lok, 95% gold, 5% silver. Tamas currency, toros, 90% gold, 10% silver. Full, half, quarter, and 1/5 weights exist for both currencies. 1/5 weights are dubbed scribbles.